easy candied coconut, almond, and chocolate chip macaroons. Could anything be more delicious? Just look at that beautiful candy drizzle on top. That's gonna give them some extra crunch, some extra sweetness, and some extra Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally That Girl in the Kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make easy candied coconut, almond, and chocolate chip macaroons. Yes, delicious macaroons made the easy way with sweetened condensed milk. Of course, they're a dairy dessert, but we're going to take these over the top because we are going to drizzle them with a candy, a caramel that we're going to make, and it's going to add just a special depth, a little extra crunch, a little extra flavor, and just make them all that more special. So I am super excited to teach you how to make these. They're delicious. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For the macaroon part of today's recipe, you will need 14 ounces of sweetened shredded coconut, 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 3/4 of a cup of slivered almonds, and 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk. The fun part about the ratio in this recipe is that we're using the same amount in ounces of sweetened shredded coconut as we are using of sweetened condensed milk. So as long as you're using the same amount of the shredded coconut and the sweetened condensed milk, the add-ins can be adapted to your liking. Maybe you want to add a different type of nut. Maybe you want some chopped walnuts, or maybe some chopped pistachios, or maybe some dried cranberries, or whatever you want to add in. You can play with those add-ins as long as the ratio of the sweetened shredded coconut and the sweetened condensed milk is 1:1. In other words, the same amount of ounces of one and the same amount of ounces of the other. And for the candy drizzle part of today's recipe, you will need 1/2 cup of sugar, just regular white sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of water, and 2 or 3 drops of white vinegar. You will also need some parchment paper, 2 large baking trays, a cooling rack, some oven mitts, a spatula, some dry measuring cups, some measuring spoons, a serving spoon or something to stir with, and a large bowl. I also like to use a small scoop, such as an ice cream scoop, but if not, you could use a couple of spoons instead. You'll also need a spoon and a can opener, and you'll need either another spoon, such as a serving spoon, or you could use a silicone spoon. This is from when we're making the candy, and you're going to need a medium-sized pot for that too. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees, making sure you have 2 racks in the oven. The macaroons themselves come together super quickly, so you want your oven warm and ready. So now you're going to grab your large bowl and you're going to grab your sweetened coconut flakes, but this particular brand has 12 ounces, and so since my can of sweetened condensed milk has 14 ounces, I'm going to add my whole first bag, and then I'm just going to add about 2 more ounces from my second bag to equal just about 14 ounces. And then I'm just going to level that out just a little bit, and then I'm going to be adding 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I really like semi-sweet because the rest of the ingredients are very, very sweet in this recipe. And then 3/4 of a cup of slivered almonds. I prefer slivered because it doesn't have any peel and they're just a little thicker the way they're cut and gives you a little bit of a crunch, and I just absolutely love it with slivered almonds. So then you're just going to use your spoon and you're going to start to incorporate these ingredients. And then you're going to bring over your can of 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, and then you're going to use a spoon to help you get out all of that yummy goodness. You don't want to leave any of it behind, but of course, if you happen to leave a little bit on that spoon that, won't go, then, lick the spoon. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to stir that in very gently. What I'm doing is just using the side of my spoon, and I'm kind of just cutting into the mixture very gently. And what I'm doing is I'm looking to make a sticky mixture where I no longer see dry coconut. It's all been coated in the sweetened condensed milk, and it's all nice and sticky because that is our binder. That is what's going to keep our macaroon together as it bakes. So you want to make sure to distribute that very well. So now I've lined my large tray with some parchment paper, and I'm going to be using my scoop. It's a small, medium-ish kind of ice cream scoop. And then I'm just going to grab a scoop of this, and I'm going to set it out on my tray. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this tray, and then of course I'm going to make a second tray. So on this particular tray, I was able to get 12 macaroons. And you see how the stickiness from that sweetened condensed milk just keeps them together in a nice little ball. They're absolutely beautiful. My second tray, I got 11 for a total of 23 macaroons. I did the same, lined it with parchment, and then just scooped it until I ran out of mixture. I got 23, and they're looking amazing. And then of course, I'm just popping them in the oven. I'm gonna set a 10-minute timer, but after 10 minutes, I'm gonna switch the position, top tray to bottom, bottom tray to top, and add 6 more minutes onto my timer for a total of 16 minutes cooking time. And look at how golden and gorgeous these macaroons are. Hold on, I got another tray coming. There we go. 23 golden, gorgeous, beautiful, crispy, yummy macaroons that smell heavenly. That semi-sweet chocolate, that sweetened condensed milk, the coconut, the almonds. It's just such a delicious bite. And of course, they're perfect to be served just like this. And as I said, you can change the add-ins, use a different nut, use some dried fruit, but this is a delicious combination. So now we're going to be doing a little bit of recycling. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to remove these macaroons from the tray that's lined, and I'm going to place them on this cooling rack, but then they're going to go back on that tray for when I drizzle over the candy. So do not throw out that parchment paper. We're going to use it twice. So I've removed all the macaroons. I've put them on my cooling rack, and honestly, they're perfect right now. You could totally serve them like this. If you don't want to add that crunchy candy, but I do recommend it because it's super, super tasty and it gives it an incredible texture when you bite into it. That crunch from the candy is going to be crazy good, but these are delicious as is. So there are my trays. See, the parchment is perfect. I can use it again for when I do the drizzle. So now I'm going to set a 30-minute timer to allow my macarons to cool down. And then once they've cooled down, I'm just going to transfer them right on top of those trays again. The trays are still lined with parchment, but they're no longer hot. The trays have now cooled down too. And look at how gorgeous these are. They're just glistening. They're sweet and toasty, yet that semi-sweet chocolate, the balance is so delicious. So now we're gonna grab our medium-sized pot and place it on our stove. And then we are gonna pour right into that a half a cup of sugar, just regular white sugar, and then just kind of spread it out. And then we're gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of water. This is just room temperature water. And then I'm gonna add 2 or 3 drops of white vinegar. Adds a little tartness, perfect balance, keeps it from crystallizing. It's perfect. So now I'm going to set my heat to medium, and then I'm not going to use a spoon at all. I'm just going to move my pot around because I want that very little bit of water and those 2 or 3 drops of white vinegar to wet the sugar. I want to make sure that all the sugar becomes wet, and I'm doing it right over the heat. I'm right above the flame to help this start to melt. And you see how quickly it starts to bubble because there's not a lot of sugar in the pot, so it's going to cook very quickly. So you do not want to move away from this or you will burn your sugar. You'll burn your candy because this transforms super quickly. As you see, I am not stirring. I'm just using the pot itself and kind of tipping it every so often to make sure that the heat is well distributed, that all of the surface is getting that heat to become beautiful candy. So you can still see it's almost white at this point and it's bubbling, and you're gonna notice that very quickly, in a matter of minutes, it's going to start to get thicker. You see how it's not moving as loosely, it's almost foamy, and it's going to quickly start to get a very mild amber color, just a very light color. You cannot let it go any further than that because the hot pan will continue to cook it even after you take off the heat. So as soon as you notice that very light amber color, we are done. We're gonna turn off the heat. We're gonna take the pot off of the hot burner, and as it sits for a moment, it will transform and become even more golden. How crazy is that? So if you go too far, you will burn your candy. And remember, never touch your candy. You're only going to use a spoon, or you can use that silicone spoon that I showed in the beginning of the video. And we're only going to let this sit for a minute or so because we don't want it to cool, because we don't want it to harden before we get a chance to drizzle it all over our beautiful macaroons. So it's going to look super impressive. Look at how pretty that looks already. And it's going to harden. And so when you bite into these that are so tasty and delicious, you're also going to get a little extra crunch, a little crackle from that slight drizzle of candy on top. And look at how gorgeous these guys look. If they were glistening before, now they are shining bright like diamonds. So delicious, so yummy, so flavorful, and just a little extra special. And once drizzled on top, the candy will harden very quickly. You see how what was once liquid has now become candy. I'm gonna have to make a sacrifice and eat these two little pieces that fell onto the parchment. And I'm telling you, this is gonna be so spectacular. I remember clearly when my eldest son and one of his cousins were at my house and had tried these with the candy drizzle on top. They just couldn't stop raving about them. They kept telling me over and over, no, we're not kidding. This is like spectacular. This is like out of control. This is so crazy delicious. Ooh, a little tail. We can't let that sit there. We're gonna have to eat it. Listen to that crunch and look at how gorgeous these look once that candy has hardened. And I've served them on a beautiful 3-tiered stand just to make them look even more dramatic. But honestly, take a look at this guy. He doesn't need any help at all. He's got that hard candy drizzle on top, filled with semi-sweet chocolate chips, slivered almonds, and of course that toasty coconut. The smell is intoxicating, and it's crispy and crunchy on the outside, but still moist and chewy on the inside. Honestly, so easy to make, such a masterpiece, so delicious. I cannot wait to take a bite. This is looking crazy. They never disappoint. So delicious. And I'm telling you, that drizzle, that candy on top, spectacular. Makes them even more delicious. They're chewy and crunchy, all in one. So crazy good. Good for Passover and all year round. So how absolutely delicious do these macaroons look, and how easy were they to put together? Honestly, you're just mixing up a couple of ingredients, popping them in the oven, and then even that candy drizzle that we added on top comes together in a flash. It's so easy, but it really brings those macaroons over the top, gives them just a little extra something. And it just feels, you know, a little extra fancy, and who doesn't love that? So I hope you enjoyed today's video. And of course, if you did, please be sure to like, comment, and share the video. I really appreciate it when you do that. Thank you so much. And of course, if you're not already following me on social media, you can find me as Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. And of course, I have my Sally That Girl in the Kitchen Amazon store, and you can find the link for that in the banner of my YouTube cooking channel, or you can also find it attached to my Facebook page. It's right at the top for your convenience. And of course, if you're not already subscribed here on YouTube, what are you waiting for? I'm constantly putting up new videos for you, and there's already a huge selection of recipe videos up. Everything, main dishes, side dishes, desserts, appetizers, vegetables, anything you could think of. And the good news is I'm not slowing down. I'm gonna keep making these amazing recipe videos for you, so be sure not to miss them. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.